Alright, so this is what we were brought. Customer brought all this. Looks like some kind of Android based radio, a Harmony audio amp, Harmony audio kit, and then some kicker door and front speakers, a couple of adapters. I think it's got two kicker shallow mount subs. I think this is getting swapped around. He had an issue with the box, and the box got damaged, and they're reordering a box. But these are single 4 ohm voice coils, and this amp is 1 ohm stable, so he's only going to get half the power at 2 ohm. So I think he's redoing the speaker configuration when he gets a new box. So that's on him. He's providing all the stuff. So what's interesting is the kit that he bought, wherever he bought this from. I don't know where it was. It was some kit that was all together for Jeeps. It shows a 1600 watt amp with this part number, but this amp is 800 watts even at 1 ohm stable. So I don't know where they're getting that number from, but either way, we're gonna put in what they brought. We're gonna get started getting these speakers out, getting these speakers ready to go out, getting those speakers with these Jeeps. Typically my preference is amp under the seat. There's a lot of room under here. There's a channel here where you can run wires. We're going to be replacing the radio, so we'll pull this off, the dash bezel off, get that factory radio out. One thing that I am not seeing now, that I don't know if it's in this box, is any type of amp kit. Stereo kit, adapter interface. So if not, we'll just have to get a pack amplifier kit radio. Oh yeah, it's in there, I see it. So it looks like it came with it. Either way, we'll get to start pulling some stuff out, and then we'll get to running some things, and then I'll catch back up with you. Alright, so got that pulled out pretty quick. We got that side pulled down. I got the top speaker out of there. But usual, I don't know. I'm not against any of these Jeep owners, but I don't understand why they just take it upon themselves to run stuff. So you got a USB right here. Great job of leaving it where it could get wrapped around the gas pedal. It's awesome. And some wires here. Not the worst I've ever seen. No protection crossing over a metal bracket though. That's always safe. On this, I don't know what they were doing here. Wires hanging down by the brake pedal. Who knows where all this mess is going. No grommets, nothing, just holes cut. I don't even want to pop the hood and see where that's going to go to. I was walking around back here to grab something out of the back. I found this. No clue where that goes or what that does. So we're going to have to look at that. Then I opened up the back gate to grab something out the back. I saw this wire hanging out. I don't know what it goes to. So these 2 wires just running here. This one's already frayed up and ready to short out on something if it's got power. So if you're a Jeep owner, if you're not a wiring guy, just help us all out. Let somebody wire this stuff, because now I've got to pull basically all of this out and fix it. And the customer's gonna pay for it. He's already said, hey, just take care of what you find. He just bought this Jeep, so it wasn't something he did. He bought the Jeep as is. So so it's just something we've got to figure out and we've got to fix, which number one, it's a hazard. Number two, right, it's just more work and more time, just not doing it the right way. So if you're a Jeep person, you're not a wiring guy, find somebody that is, let them do it. All right, it'll save us all some time. There's also a wire here No idea where that goes. It's just hanging down by the floorboard down here. Not sure where that goes to either. So actually, I see it. It goes underneath the floor here. So like, come on. Like, do we give up on ourselves and just run it? It's hanging out the dash on the floor. So we'll figure it out. We always do. But just one more to do. Well, I thought this was a factory style radio. I did not realize until I pulled the center console out that it's actually like a, you know, an aftermarket Chrysler style radio. So yeah, he's already, I mean, he doesn't want this. Obviously he wants to put this, that Android based that thing is. I'm not really sure what that is. I never heard of that. He wants to put that in. Never heard of that brand, don't have any idea about it. So from what I understand, it's some kind of flat screen Android operating system, one of those radios. His decision. So we'll get this radio pulled out. We'll see what we need to do. I don't know. I guess I can try to pull it and see if I can do it one-handed. I don't know if they have a kit here. This was just spliced in. Okay, good. It looks like it's got some type of kit. There's a lot of wires here, but anyway, at least they're not cutting all spliced together, so that's going to make this a little bit easier to sort out. So we'll get this pulled out, we'll get the new one in and go from there. So putting these kicker 2 3/4 tweeters up in the front top of the dash. Come with a bunch of different brackets, you know, different vehicles, GM, Toyotas. We need the G bracket, so it's 2 brackets. We're gonna wire this up. Capacitor goes in line on the positive leg. These 2 plates. One goes on the bottom of the tweeter. Drop the tweeter in, and one goes on the top. It's bolted down to the factory location. Pretty straightforward. Nothing extra special there. Connected to the factory tweeter location now. They make an adapter that plugs into the factory tweeter side. The customer didn't get one. I asked him if he wanted to do it, you know, I could get it. And he said no. He said go ahead and cut it and splice it. He said this will never come out. He said if he ever sells the vehicle, it's going in it like it is. So it's not my decision. That's customer decision. So that's what we're gonna do. So I just used the kicker connectings that come in the kit to kind of put the capacitor in line, and I just put a couple tire wraps in. You know, if you ever need to change the capacitor, or if you need to pull this tweeter out or something, it gives you a nice place to do that. Then I'm taking and wrap this in a velvet tape, like a velvet cloth tape. It's kind of what the factory uses as far as their wiring harnesses in the dash. That way none of this can rattle around or come loose or short or anything in the dash. So that's kind of what that looks like. And we'll get this wired in and mounted. Alright, so got those installed. Got the wires tucked nice and behind everything and tie wrapped out the way. That one's installed as well. Same thing. So we get the covers on here, and then we'll move down to pulling this part of the dash off to get these speakers out. Now there's some additional switches here. That's those wires I showed earlier. I think this thing had lift dock differential locks added after, so we're gonna have to figure out where all that goes and deal with that, because I need to get this panel off to get this speaker out. So that'll be next on the agenda, and we'll do the same there. We'll pull that panel off, get that speaker out, and then we'll figure out what this wire is. I don't know where this even goes and what it's to, so we'll figure that out too. Alright, so this is the speaker that he's adding. That was his factory one. Now they do make all-in-one pods that have all of this with a speaker in it already. This is what he got, and I don't know where he got it from. He did get some adapters for these, so we'll go ahead and connect this here. I put some foam on the back of here to make sure that seals good, and then pop this back in. Alright, so we are getting these wired. I made some little plates for these tweeters. You know, you need something to take the space up that's factory. I just made that out of some black ABS. He's got these connectors which are wired backwards. Don't know where they're coming from. The white on this is hot or positive. I've verified that already. And then black here is negative. So I'm not sure where these things came from, but they're wired backwards. I tried to depin them. I was just going to depin them and move the connectors over. Every single depinning tool that I have doesn't fit this. I don't know what this is. It's something I haven't seen or messed with. So I got about 10 different depinning tools, and of course I don't have this one, but whatever. We'll cut the ends, re-put some connectors on it, and make sure positive is positive, negative is negative. It just won't, the color coding won't match here. Get the tweeter wired in. There's a crossover that goes with this. The crossover is an interesting thing to try to fit in here and try to get it mounted, because it's super tight in here. But I was able to find a spot like back off in this corner where I could get one screw in it and then flip it around and get the other screw in it. I didn't video that side because it was an absolute pain. I mean, trying to video and trying to hold that and screw with wires hanging down and stuff, it was just a pain. So this one is in, so it's difficult to see, but there's a kicker, woofer, and then there's that tweeter with the plate in there. So we'll get this one done to that point. Then we'll get that radio out, and then we'll put the other radio in, whatever that is. We'll see what that is. I've never seen that brand or heard of that brand before, so that's going to be something to see, figure out. Alright, we got tweeter installed, woofer installed. Just check to make sure they sounded good. They sound as best as they're going to sound off a factory or off a radio, no amp. So yeah, so I think we'll work on swapping that radio out now to whatever that new radio is, and then we'll keep going. All right, so this is this Crownyu multimedia, like an Android based radio, but honestly very similar to what he had in there before. There was like a factory OEM look-alike Android unit. This just has a bigger screen. Looks like it's got a diagram, got a rear view camera, maybe a GPS antenna, something like that. Looks like it's got a CAN bus controller in it already. Bezel, looks like that goes for that. And then some type of other antenna, maybe a cell or a Wi-Fi or something. So yeah, I will look this wiring through, figure out what goes where, what we need, and then we'll get this wired up and set in the vehicle. So started looking at running the camera off of the rear view camera off of this radio, and it's a different camera. Anyway, so I'll pull some trim, and this is the stuff you find. I don't even understand what they got going on here. This is all running like this. This is just twisted and taped together, and it runs like that and like that. These are the things that take jobs and make them a lot more fun, because I gotta tear all of this out to even get to what I need to get to. So just the fun stuff you deal with Jeeps, I guess. I don't know why it's such a common occurrence with Jeeps. Alright, so got the radio in. This is no different than any other really factory radio style Android replacement. Only thing you need to know about this one is because this bezel is, or this face is so big, you have to put the actual factory trim piece back on and these AC vents in first. I figured this out after. I had to pull the radio back out because that won't go in if this is in the way. So put your trim piece on first, then your AC ducts back in, and then snap the faceplate in. Other than that, you know, pretty typical as far as what's going on here. We got these speakers all buttoned up, all that back together, all that back together. I don't have the seat mounted yet. I do have the amp screwed down and, you know, wired up. Waiting, I want to do a little bit more testing on the box. I have it tuned with my RTA, my audio codes RTA, but that doesn't take into account the type of music that the client listens to, so I want to know what type of music he primarily listens to and kind of go from there. This is the box that he provided me. These are the speakers, so we got those mounted in here. Doesn't sound bad for, you know, some normal. I think these are actually shallow mount speakers that are designed for a real small box, but you know, this is what we were provided, so we went with it. But it looks good. The box fits in here nice. I have no idea where the box came from. I don't know who makes it. I don't know anything about it, so I'll see if maybe I can find out from them if someone's interested in a box or a JK that kind of fits behind the seat. It kind of gives you some storage space still. But yeah, this one is wrapped up. That radio was probably cleaning up some wires that were in here already, and the radio, that Android radio that, you know, never messed with, that was the thing that took the most time, really, because we had to figure out there's 14 or 15 different plug-in connectors. None of it's labeled, none of the back of it's labeled, so you kind of got to figure out where stuff goes. You have a external mic that's got to get run. You've got a GPS antenna that, you know, that was a good spot for it. You've got a LTE antenna, so that was a good spot for that. Rear view camera, because this thing doesn't have a rear view camera. You know, so it's got, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 15 plugs on the back of it. It's got a USB adapter that plugs into the glove box. It's got a SIM card adapter that plugs into the glove box. So, you know, there's numerous connections points on this thing, and none of it's labeled. There's no diagram, so you just kind of figure it out on your own. So that took a little time. I'm gonna talk with him. I highly doubt they're using this cigarette lighter adapter anymore. They make a cigarette lighter that plugs in that has a USB on it, and this radio actually has a second USB slot, and it gives you the cable, so he could use this as a USB. It could be a charging port and a connection port. This has wireless CarPlay and wireless Android Auto in it, so I don't know if he'll ever use it, but I'll ask him to see if he wants it or not, and we'll go from there. But that wraps this one up. It sounds good for what it is. I mean, it's a factory radio with some aftermarket speakers and, you know, 212s, but overall sounds pretty good. So on to the next one. Just as some bonus content, I'm pretty certain next thing on his agenda, we're going to be replacing these with LEDs, possibly these lights with LEDs, these fogs with LEDs, fixing the wiring on this bar. From what I understand, these lights here don't even work anymore. I have no idea. There's some stuff that's hacked up right here. So we're gonna spend some time with that. This thing's got to go into the shop. It came out of the shop, actually. It just got out of the shop. I don't know if they did something with the 1-ton axle stuff, but it just got out of the shop. So, but it needs to go back into the shop because this thing has a terrible smell of gas. So it's leaking gas from somewhere. In fact, there's multiple leaks underneath it, so I don't know if there's a vent line or something that got disconnected, but so it's got to go back in the shop. But yeah, part of that fix up is going to be to figure out what all of this is. We think the customer is not 100% sure, but we think it may be for the diff locks. There's aftermarket diff locks, obviously, for these 1-ton axles. And then there's all of this that I have no idea. It's not connected to whatever that is not connected. I have no idea where all this goes. But like I told him, I said I don't want to. That's a whole separate project. So that we need to spend time going through all the wiring, and then fixing all of that. While we were in the dash, we've had the same problem. That aftermarket radio, we pulled out wires going everywhere, you know, going all over. If you remember right, there were some wires just hanging down here. You know, we didn't even know what they went to. All that's been pulled out. The camera wires, if you remember, they were coming through here. They were all cut up and smashed up. So now the new camera wires are in a loom. It's back in the factory harness. We've got this harness coming on the outside of this one, so it's not being smashed like it was before. There was wires all hanging off up here. All of that has been removed. All that's clipped onto the factory harness going across. So, you know, we took care of all the wires that we needed to take care of while we were doing the stuff that we were doing. But stuff like this and that other stuff that we talked about earlier, I don't have time on this time to work on it. But we will do a separate job just for that. So look for that. That'll be coming out soon.